in Osaka and around Japan. My name is Kyle Schultz. I am the Executive Vice President for Business Development and Global Strategy with World Business Chicago, and it's a pleasure to have you join us this evening. We'll be getting started here in just a few moments as we give it a little bit of time to let everyone get accessed and logged on. In the meantime, though, on the screen, you will find instructions on how to access the language interpretation. Our friends in Osaka have been gracious enough to secure 2 translators for real-time translation. So please follow the instructions this evening, and we will have instructions for you to access the language interpretation. And now, as we all get settled in for this very exciting Osaka-Chicago Innovation Summit that'll showcase why Osaka and Chicago are 2 of the leading global cities for innovation and highlight the resources, partnerships, and ecosystems that make them so special and a great place to do business. It is my pleasure to welcome the Japanese Consul General to the Japanese Consulate in Chicago, the Honorable Kenichi Okada, to deliver opening and welcome remarks for this important innovation summit. Consul General.
Thank you, Mr. Kyle Schultz, for your kind introduction. And good evening to my good friends in Chicago, and good morning to everyone in Osaka. I am Kenichi Okada, the Consul General of Japan in Chicago. I am really delighted to join you as we kick off this Osaka-Chicago Innovation Summit. Both cities mean so much to me. I was born in Osaka, and now I feel like a true Chicagoan since this wonderful city has been my home for just 1 year. So today, my mask is Chicago. You can see that? But of course, my ties is from Osaka. And for leading the way for this first ever summit, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to Mr. Samir Mayakar, Deputy Mayor of City of Chicago, Ms. Andrea Zopp, President and CEO of World Business Chicago, and Mr. Michiteru Kashiwagi, the Director General of Economic Strategy Bureau of Osaka City, and everyone involved. Thank you all so much. Our 2 cities are a great match. We continue to be the closest of sister cities. Many of our cultural and business exchanges both ways reach back nearly 5 decades. Both of us have impressive downtown rivers and stunning river walks. And we also share a passion for baseball with Cubs, with Sox, and with Hanshin Tigers. But American friends don't celebrate by diving into the water, the river, when their teams win the championship, as Japanese do. Chicago and Osaka are continually taking new steps together. 2 years ago, Chicago became the very first foreign city to sign a memorandum of understanding with the government of Japan. Even more important for us today, this summit can build upon our MOU on innovation between the Osaka Innovation Hub and 1871. Our 2 cities thrive because we continually embrace new ideas and transform them into success. That's our shared spirit. I'm sure you know about Beam Century. It was founded and succeeded in Osaka, and it chose Chicago for its world headquarters. One of its corporate values expresses a powerful message in just 5 words. Well, get to it then. Or, yatte minahare. Innovation needs this get to it spirit. And that's what this summit is all about. That's very, very important. And I can say from my firsthand experience that Chicago is an ideal partner for Osaka. This great city is home to world-class universities, truly innovative companies and technologies, talented people, and the Midwest nice will welcome new companies. And I'm sure Osaka City and its warm welcome will do the same. I will hear the testimonies from companies in both cities. And we have all the ingredients for success. City of Chicago, Osaka City, World Business Chicago, 1871, Chicago Sister Cities International, and the Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Osaka Innovation Hub. And of course, you always have the full support of my consulate and my full support. I have really looked forward to this summit because this can be a springboard to our innovation hubs becoming even more successful. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul General Okata, for your leadership and friendship and help to make tonight's Innovation Summit possible. You've been a wonderful addition to Chicago, and we appreciate all you've done, especially during a global pandemic, to make the Osaka-Chicago relationship thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to welcome Chicago's Deputy Mayor for Neighborhood and Economic Development, Mr. Samir Mayakar, to deliver remarks and regards from the City of Chicago. Samir?
Thank you very much, Kyle. Good evening to everybody in Chicago and to my colleagues in Japan. Ohayo gozaimasu. My name is Samir Mayakar, and I'm Deputy Mayor for Economic and Neighborhood Development in the City of Chicago. And on behalf of the City of Chicago and Mayor Lori E. Lightfoot, I bring you warm greetings. I want to begin by saying that we very much respect our long-standing relationship with Osaka and Japan. And in particular, I want to say thank you to Consul General Okada, because Okada-san has been a deep friend to the mayor and our team here. And really, I want to thank him and the whole consulate for being part of the Osaka-Chicago innovation system and for your leadership in strengthening Chicago's ties with our very important sister city, Osaka, as well as with the rest of Japan. I'm so pleased to be part of today's virtual summit. Today's event continues our mutual interest in advancing Chicago and Osaka's long and successful relationship. We gather today online from all across the world because the pandemic prohibits us from meeting in person. In ways big and small, we are all tapping our ingenuity as Americans and as Japanese, as really as human beings, to overcome the obstacles that we face and to make work purposeful to better our cities and our communities. The Chicago-Osaka relationship goes back to 1973, when we first entered into a sister city relationship. And over the last 47 years, our relationship has continued to become more connected. The Chicago-Osaka relationship has included many exchanges of culture, education, arts, sports, government, and business over the years. While our previous exchanges have been face-to-face and in person, whether that's our colleagues from Osaka coming to Chicago or our residents here in Chicago traveling to Osaka, we are proud to see that despite the global pandemic, that we can move from an in-person event to a virtual event to ensure that our very important relationship and partnership continues. As you know, the theme for today's event is the Osaka-Chicago Innovation Summit. And that's demonstrated by our respective cities' resiliency and innovative spirit, despite the many challenges and obstacles that we face as societies, countries, and the world today. Resiliency and innovation are deeply rooted in Chicago's history, and this is a spirit that we very much embody today. Just 3 months ago, Chicago published an economic recovery task force report that was compiled with input from more than 200 industry experts and area leaders over a 10-week period. The report offers concrete guidelines for an inclusive economic revival that not only focuses on the immediate issues sparked by the COVID-19 pandemic, but really addresses the wealth disparities and the racial inequities that have long existed in many American cities. Chicago is the first city in America to issue such a forward-thinking plan to drive economic recovery that tackles the economy, mental health, marketing, business development, regional coordination, and the disproportionate effects COVID-19 has had on some of our most vulnerable population by addressing inequities throughout our city. The Economic Recovery Report is also a roadmap for our economic development. We are committed to seeing Chicago maintain its position as a magnet for outside capital, and we want to continue attracting corporate headquarters. As Okada-san mentioned, we're very proud to have Beam Suntory here in Chicago. We want more companies to spread out their workforces, and Chicago offers more affordable land than some of our city rivals like Los Angeles and New York. The Economic Recovery Report laid out 17 bold recommendations that have a direct impact on our city, and they include targeting 5 key industries. That's manufacturing, healthcare and life science, food and agriculture, transportation, distribution and logistics, and headquarter operations. And in particular with innovation, the technology industry impacts all of those sectors. Chicago continues to lead the world in innovation, and I'm excited that this summit will feature some of the incredible companies and leaders that are leading innovation here in Chicago. We're very proud that some of our top rankings support these claims. We've been recognized here in Chicago as the top tech spot of the future by Modis. We've been named a top 10 global innovation and tech hub by Deloitte. And for 7 years running, that's right, 7 years, we've been ranked as the #1 city for foreign direct investment projects in North America. Chicago truly is a global hub for technology and a place where both companies and their employees can thrive. By investing in our fundamental strengths, we are ensuring that this progress continues for generations to come. And as you will hear today, Chicago has the #1 private business incubator in the world called 1871, led by CEO Betsy Ziegler, who's a dear friend of mine, and she's going to share how innovation happens at her incubator and how the environment inside 1871 fosters global innovation. Thanks to innovation hubs like 1871, M-Hub, which does manufacturing, Matter, which focuses on healthcare, and many more, Chicago continues to lead the United States in offering the highest ROI of any startup hub. Also joining us today to share their perspective as to why Chicago is a great place for successful returns for startups are leaders of Groupon and QB. Launched in Chicago in 2008, Groupon is a deal of the day website that offers discounted gift certificates usable at local or national companies. It's known as an online e-commerce platform that provides its users with the ability to purchase any product. And before going public and they had their IPO, it was valued at over $1 billion. They were also one of the fastest growing companies at that time. QB, which stands for Fitness Cube, is a health and fitness company that offers an under-desk elliptical trainer, which integrates wirelessly with mobile devices and fitness trackers. This is very apt, I think, for all of us sitting on Zoom calls all day. Founded by 3 friends at the University of Chicago, the company was recently acquired for $100 million. So both of these companies are just 2 of the successful Chicago innovation companies that we are fortunate to be sharing their stories with here today, and that Chicago and this environment helped them succeed. And this is a story that I know very well because before joining city government, I was actually the CEO and founder of a global manufacturing company called Nanograph, and we made advanced materials for the lithium-ion battery industry. We were based here in Chicago, but we actually expanded into Japan. So we have operations both in Tokyo and in Osaka. So as Okada-san knows, I've been to Dotonbori Street many times. I've never jumped in the river, however, so maybe we'll have to do that down the road. And I've enjoyed many a serving of takoyaki in Osaka, and I have a particular fondness for my time in Osaka. In 2018, the city of Chicago signed the first of its kind memorandum of cooperation with the government of Japan to increase the economic development and investment framework between Japan and Chicago. As one of the top investors in Chicago with over 300 Japan-based companies in our area, Japan remains an important sister city partnership and relationship for Chicago. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity to share regards from the city, from Mayor Lightfoot. And I'm really excited to welcome Kashiwagi-san here to give the government of Japan's formal presentation. So thank you very much, everybody, and I hope you have a very productive summit here today.
Thank you, Samir, for joining us and sharing the regards from Mayor Lightfoot and your own personal story. It is now my pleasure and honor to welcome Mr. Michitura Kashiwagi, Director General, Economic Strategy Bureau for Osaka City Government. After working for several global companies, Director General Kashiwagi started to work for the Osaka City Government in 2012. First as the City Manager for the Shuo Ward, then as Director General for the Economic Strategy Bureau. Now, he's committed to achieving sustainable economic growth in Osaka by attracting people, goods, and investment from around the world. Join me in welcoming Director General Kashiwagi-san. Director General Kashiwagi, you are on mute, sir. And if you could also add your camera, please, we would appreciate that.
So my presentation is there.
Well, perfect. Thank you all for your patience as we work
皆さ
through.
ん少々お待ちくださいませ。新しいこういったテクノロジーをうまく調整。
And now I'll present Director General Kashiwagi to deliver opening remarks from Osaka. Director General, the floor is yours.
So good evening. Good evening, everyone in Chicago, and good morning in our side, Osaka, our colleagues. So as you introduced me, I'm General Director of Osaka City Economic Strategy Bureau, Kashiwagi, and I'd like to start a short brief of Osaka report, what Osaka is and what Osaka is going, and what we make for. Okay. So I'd like to, first of all, the Chicago and Osaka both pride as the second capital of the country. And secondly, Chicago and Osaka are both thriving on a huge pool of talented minds and knowledge producing institutions. The third, Chicago and Osaka are both tried and tested experts introducing innovative methods of tomorrow. Coincidentally, both cities have made invaluable contributions to the birth of what we know as future contracts today. Fourth, both cities have a huge following for baseball and comedy. And fifth, look at the great selection of gumi both cities have to offer. Last, But not least, both cities have a spectacular charm with their waterscapes and winter illuminations. Like so, the two cities are incredibly similar, and Chicagoans would feel like at home in Osaka. But now that we've gone through all the fun stuff, let's take a look at what these two incredible similar cities have done as sister cities in recent years. The Chicago-Osaka relationship initially began as exchanges between our private sectors. Eventually, in 1973, we became sister cities, and since many collaborations at either or both cities have followed. Most recently in Chicago, we celebrated in 2018 the 45th anniversary of sister city relations and officially signed sister street relations between the magnificent miles of Chicago and the Midōsuji Boulevard of Osaka. In Osaka, the same year in 2018, we had the pleasure to welcome no other than World Business Chicago CEO, Ms. Andrezov, thank you, as well as 1871 CEO, Ms. Betsy Ziegler, to represent Chicago, a city that leads the world in its ratio of female-led startups. The same occasion in Osaka in 1871 and Osaka Innovation Hub OIH, represented by Chicagoland Entrepreneurial Center and the City of Osaka, also signed the MOU to cooperate in fostering innovations. Among both cities, since 2012, we have been sending a pair of local marathon winners in alternating years between the Osaka Marathon and Chicago Marathon, and many, many more. But now, allow me to elaborate more on what Osaka has to offer. Similarly to Chicago, Osaka lies in a strategic location in the center of the second largest economic bloc in Japan, Kansai, giving the city an extra advantage as a transport hub. The Kansai International Airport was the first in Japan to achieve 24-hour operations. Before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, the airport recorded over 200,000 landings and takeoffs in 2019. And this is, of course, on top of our vast network of expressways, railways, and well-equipped ports to transport you and your goods. What this creates is an industry cluster that we use to implement advanced technologies and foster future talent in innovations. Because similar to Chicago, where universities, research institutes, business, and industry support facilities are all within 1 hour's commute in this network, we can easily utilize public-private academic partnership. In fact, a variety of global companies nowadays have developed within the environment Osaka has to provide. From our focus field, life science and new energy, the well-known Takeda Pharmaceutical, Suntory, and Panasonic, all from Osaka. But of course, I'm sure these Osaka-originated names across other fields are just as familiar to you as well. As a city, Chicago emerged as a hub for corn and commodity exchange, and in time gave birth to Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the largest derivative marketplace of the world. But some say that Dojima Rice Exchange in Osaka actually played a significant role as a model of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And the image associated with such an innovative city is usually a high cost of living and business. What's about Osaka? At only one easy Shinkansen bullet train ride away from Tokyo, in Osaka, you can pay over 40% less for office space and 50% less for salary, making for perfect landing pad into the Japanese market. And I am proud to say that Osaka has not sacrificed any of its strengths to achieve these lower costs. In 2019, The Economist has ranked Osaka the third highest in the Safe City Index, the fourth highest in the Most Livable City Index. So that's how Osaka looks like in the present. But of course, we already have many projects to further equip Osaka for the future. The first project I'd like to share is redevelopment of the northern area of Osaka Station, the liveliest area in Kansai, handling over 2.5 million passengers each day. As the project's first phase in 2013, we opened Ground Front Osaka, which also contains the innovation business zones named Knowledge Capital. As second phase, we took notes from the Millennium Park and plans to open up an 11 acres urban park in downtown Osaka. With additional world-class facilities, this site will stimulate new industry and technologies in Osaka Kansai through a harmony of green space and innovations. The second project, some of you may have already seen our new approach to logo design, the ultimate innovation-inspiring event World Expo 2025. Under the theme of designing future society for our lives, we aim to start a new waves of innovations from Osaka and to create a living lab to experiment SDG solutions and new ideas such as flying cars. We hope that in 5 years, we will be able to welcome many of our audience here today with us and as guests to the Expo. The two projects I introduced are also unique in that they are both developing towards Japan Coast Supercity. This national legal framework will lay the foundation of easing regulations at the two venues, allowing them to truly innovative with cutting-edge technologies. Lastly, allow me to introduce Osaka from the perspective of the global innovation partner. Our current objective is to take the pilot seat in bringing growth to Japan as a whole, with Osaka Innovation Hub or in Knowledge Capital as a centerpiece. We aim to bridge existing enterprises with new business, and by doing so, may we inspire a new generation of challenges. At Knowledge Capital, every year we hold global innovation conferences with sessions such as pitch contests, business meetings, and much more. For those who are interested, Hack Osaka 2021 is scheduled online for February 18th, 2021. I'm also excited to introduce OBIC, the Osaka Business and Investment Center and JETRO Chicago as one-stop destinations to help global business expand. You can reach their homepage through the QR code on screen for more information on incentives and other resources you may require along the way. Chicago has a huge presence in innovation potential. The city already has the highest investment return for startups in the States and is home to many famous research institutes. We see that Chicago has produced all these amazing startups, such as Groupon and Kubis, and it is our hope that Osaka could learn from Chicago's expertise, and that both cities will be able to benefit from this success and process. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Director General Kashiwagi. And now I would like to invite Mr. Yoshikawa to turn on his camera. And now, as we dig deeper into the advantages of the Osaka Innovation Economy, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Yoshikawa, founder and CEO of the Human Hub Japan Corporation. As former Director General for Innovation in the Osaka City government, Mr. Yoshikawa was in charge of the city's innovation and administration policies. Before serving the city, he worked in the private sector, where he developed his portfolio, collaborating with many overseas IT startups and launching and managing new businesses. He was elected as one of the Forbes Japan 88 local innovators in 2017. As a point of reference, it is my unfortunate update to provide that Mr. Flannery from Rainmaking will be unable to join this summit this evening because of a medical emergency. Replacing him will be Mr. Tadashi Yoshida. Mr. Yoshikawa, I turn it over to you for your presentation, sir.
Thank you very much, Kyle. I'm pleased to be invited at this honorable occasion. I've had the great pleasure to work with the Osaka Innovation Hub since the very beginning, previously as the Director General for Innovation, the Osaka City government, and now, even after leaving the government, as an individual who continues to hold on to a mission after. A mission given to me by Osaka is to transform the city into one single workplace with a new network that breaks down the borders of job titles, organization, and nationality, all in order to achieve a purpose-driven and totally optimizes the city. We want to ready the city for the rapid changes and many challenges in society. We call this the Osaka movement. Can you see here this? The logo is printed out here in this t-shirt. Over the years, I have worked on many projects to bring Osaka closer to this goal. For example, one is the declaration of startup-friendly Kansai, a pledge by 61 major corporations and a corporate executive association. We need a network that links up the major corporations and startups for them to collaborate openly with flat hierarchy to lead innovation together. There are still many other connections we have to make to support new ways that create an innovative city. For instance, a link to the global network community is one of them. Today, we have invited 2 startups accelerators that helps us to connect the city's startup network to the world. Now, I would like to introduce the representative of Rainmaking, Mr. Tadashi Yoshida, Director, Business Development, and from the Brain Plug and Play Japan, Mr. Ando, Director of Japan Operation. Mr. Yoshida and Mr. Ando, thank you for joining us. At first, Mr. Yoshida?
Yeah.
Mr. Yoshida, could you begin by giving us the breakdown of your company's profile and mission?
Yes. So thank you, Yoshida-san. And I'm Tadashi Yoshida, the Director of the Digital Business Development at the Rainmaking Innovation Japan. I apologize for the absence of our CEO, Josh Flannery, due to their health condition. And I would like to give some words on behalf of him. And let me introduce our Rainmaking Innovation Japan by myself. Rainmaking Innovation Japan was established in 2019 as a subsidiary of Rainmaking Innovation headquarters in London, UK. Rainmaking Innovation is well known as the organizer of the world-famous accelerator program, Startup Bootcamp. Since our foundation in 2007, we built, invested, and supported more than 900 startups and create around $5 million value. Currently, we have 10 offices around the world and launch more than 30 programs. These are our strengths and differences. We focus on achieving a tangible impact on both partner, company, and startup. Currently, we are running a Startup Bootcamp Scale Osaka Cohort 2, which will kick off on 24th in this month. And we try to introduce our venture study program to the Japanese market.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any achievements that you would like to share with us and highlight?
Yes. I'd like to show our 2 achievements. First, less than 2 years ago, Rainmaking was not active in Japan, but in that short time, we have attracted more than almost 1,000 applicants from the global startup who specifically interested in entering the Japanese market via Osaka. The first cycle attracting more than 450 applicants, and our current cycle, Core 2, attracting 550 applicants respectively. Second, we now have two companies from our first cycle in the process of establishing Japanese subsidiary, Maxar and China. In the case of the NAPFILE, they have already established the KD and the office located in Kansai, and they are continuing to conduct real business with one of the corporation. They conducted a POC with the dwelling program with our partner, JR West.
Thank you. Do you think what are some advantages of Osaka that you will have noticed?
We have noticed the following three advantages. The number one is the uniquely collaborative business culture. And number two is the momentum of significant event and the infrastructure projects such as the 2025 World Expo and Umekita project. And number three, a large city and surrounding a regional Kansai market size, but less expensive than the Tokyo.
Thank you. Next, Ando-san, please also begin by giving us a breakdown of plug and play, mission and profile.
Thank you, Yoshika-san. Could you share my screen? Could you share my slide, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, Chicago and Osaka no minasama. Ohayou gozaimasu.
Good morning, members from Osaka.
Osaka at Plug and Play Japan. At first, thank you for your time and this opportunity to share our business in Osaka. Next page, please. Thank you so much. At first, we would like to share you three main businesses of Plug and Play Global. At first, the acceleration program to accelerate startups. Also, the second one is we create corporate innovations with more than 400 corporate partners in the world. In addition, the last part, we have a VC function which invests more than 250 startups yearly. Next page, please. Thank you. In terms of acceleration program, we have over 30 locations in the world to do it, including Osaka. Next page, please. Thanks. We will show you the current situation in Japan. We established the Plug and Play Japan in 2017, and we have accelerated more than 400 startups with 43 corporate partners so far. Next page, please. In Osaka, we started the branch with topic of smart cities on July 21st this year. And we have done the kickoff event in October with almost 350 attendees using both offline and online. It was very exciting moment for me. Thank you, Yoshika-san.
Thank you very much. I understand that your company has only just expanded to Osaka last month after your other offices in Asia, like Shanghai, Tokyo, and Kyoto. What are the reasons behind your selection of these cities, including Osaka?
Thank you for your question. We have two reasons to set up our Osaka branch. Please, next page, please. I will show you the why, Smart City in Osaka. Yeah, thank you. The first one is that Osaka has very good opportunities in terms of smart cities. Since Osaka is supposed to hold many world-class events after Tokyo Olympic, like World Masters Game in 2020 and Expo in 2025. So Osaka will have many new urban developments in this area. Also, Osaka is currently redeveloping urban areas like Kita and Minami, which are two main urban areas in Osaka. In addition, governments in Osaka are very actively taking initiatives in smart cities, especially strategies. So Osaka City and Osaka Prefecture are having meetings about the smart cities, and they would like Osaka to have world-class smart cities. That's why we set up this location, because of a lot of opportunities and initiatives for smart cities. Thank you, Yoshika-san.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to hear that. Do you have any idea on the potentials that you see in Osaka other than those opportunities and initiatives?
Yes, thank you. Please, next page, please. Yes, definitely. Osaka has tons of potentials. Under the coronavirus situation, we could set up the Osaka branch thanks to 8 corporate partners and knowledge capital. So I hope the economy in Osaka will be getting better and better, and a lot of companies will have innovations in this area. So I believe Osaka is very attractive in business. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Could you give us more comment on your thought of Osaka's ecosystem?
Yes, thank you. We will start our first Osaka acceleration program from December as a batch 1. So we would like to make Osaka attractive with governments, academia, startups in the world, and corporate partners in this region. Yeah, that's pretty much from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Then Yoshida-san, could you tell us about some challenges and difficulties that you faced and how you resolve these issues?
How you are dealing this with issues. So could you please make any comments on what you are doing? And
Yoshida-san, can you hear me? Please unmute, please. Yoshida-san, do you have any kind of challenges and difficulties that you faced?
And we have, sorry. Also now we are facing, actually everything looks like a challenge for us. And everything challenged for us, and because we are just coming to the Osaka for the last year, and the other challenge is the other challenge is localization, and I would like to make a comment from the viewpoint from the viewpoint of the rainmaking Japan. The biggest issue we have faced in the localization is also that we are still facing these issues. And in fact, our third bootcamp scale Osaka is the export program that has been done around the world, and we could make some accomplishment in countries, but it doesn't make sense that we just do the same program in Japan. We run the program cohort 1 and all in English in case of communication between the Japanese partner and us. And meanwhile, at the cohort 2, we started communication between the Japanese partner and so. I'd like to. It would be important to adapt the global standard to the organization. In addition to that, localization will be equally important for the promotion of the innovation through the Japan and Japanese organization, as mentioned. We are still on the way to improving the situation in this sense. It should foster innovation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. I hope you all audiences understand that today the Osaka starts to work with global startup accelerators to enhance the diversity in the ecosystem. We believe the more the diversities increase, the more innovation will take place. It may be good opportunities for us to test together an imaginative way to lead innovation in the new urban development area that Ando-san mentioned near Osaka Station and Expo 2025. We are looking forward to connecting with Chicago to add thick and tasty diversities like your pizza does to Japanese market. Let's keep in touch. I'll pass the stage to Kyle. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our incredible leaders from Osaka, Mr. Yoshikawa, Mr. Ando, and Mr. Yoshida. Appreciate each of you, your experiences and your perspective in sharing that with this global audience this morning and this evening. And now it is my pleasure to welcome the President and CEO of World Business Chicago, Ms. Andrea Zapp, to share some initial remarks about Chicago, our innovation, and our partnership with Osaka. Andy?
Thank you, Kyle, and welcome everyone. It is nice to see so many of my friends from Osaka. I want to begin by, on behalf of World Business Chicago, saying thank you to our Consul General, Mr. Kenichi Okada, and thank you to Samir Mayakar, our Deputy Mayor for the City of Chicago, for their remarks. Also want to thank our co-hosts for this event, 1871, Chicago Sister Cities International, the Osaka Innovation Hub, and the Osaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as our supporters for this event, JETRO Chicago, JETRO Osaka, the Osaka Business and Investment Center, and Osaka Business Development Agency. You've all heard both from Deputy Mayor Mayakar and from our Consul General and from the comments of Mr. Kashiwagi from Osaka around the close relationship between Chicago and Osaka, the many similarities, the long-term sister city relationship with 45 years that I had the privilege of going to Osaka to help celebrate our economic agreement with Japan for the city of Chicago, the first of its ever signed by the country of Japan with a city that we are working to fulfill. It is simply very clear that we have deep relationships. We also have a deep investment, both cities, in innovation, a deep commitment to innovation, and a clear recognition that innovation and expanding our innovation ecosystems are going to be the basis, a strong basis of growth for both cities, but also for helping us move forward with recovery. So it's why it's so very important. In this very difficult year, one thing has become very, very clear. We are all very connected across the world. And so it is really important that we have the conversation that we're having this evening in Chicago and this morning in Osaka and in Japan. And so it is really a privilege for us to help to put this together with so many of our partners and friends. I want to thank you, Mr. Yoshikawa, and the participants on your panel for talking about the exciting things that are happening in Osaka and innovation. And it is really my privilege now to turn it over to Betsy Ziegler, who is the CEO of 1871. 1871 is our leading innovation hub. It has been named the #1 private business incubator in the world. And Betsy has been leading it now for several years. Prior to leading 1871, she was the associate dean of, she was the chief innovation officer at the Kellogg School for Business at Northwestern University. She was also the associate dean of programs and the dean of students. So she's used to wearing many, many hats. I had Betsy and I have collaborated on a number of fronts, including traveling to Osaka in 2018 to sign the MOU between 1871 and the Osaka Innovation Hub. So we're thrilled to have Betsy here today to lead a panel with Groupon and QB to talk about innovation in Chicago. And so Betsy, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you turn your camera on and start your panel. Thank you.
I am trying to start my video, but it's saying that the host has stopped it.
Thank you for the heads up, Betsy. The joys of virtual summits is working through the technical difficulties. There you go. I can retreat to the background.
All right, thank you, Andy. Hello, Chicago. And to our Japanese friends, Ohayo gozaimasu. Dozo yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Hajimemashite. 1992 nen, Waseda Daigaku de benkyou shimashita. Zen nen nagara, Nihongo o wasurete shimaimashita.
She's speaking in Japanese and she studies in Japan.
Japanese is rusty, but I thought I would try it. I want to talk a little bit about Chicago tech, and I want to talk a little bit about 1871. It's a real honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to you today. First is technology is a very important part of the Chicago economy. It's about 10% of our total economy, up from 2% just 8 years ago. So it's growing really fast. And you may have heard this from Deputy Mayor Mayakar, but Chicago is a very diverse economy where no sector has more than roughly 13%. So tech is a very, very high up there. In addition, across the entire United States, we have the highest percentage of female founders at roughly 34% in Chicago. We have the second highest graduation rate for computer science. We have about 970 students a year graduating with a computer science degree. The number one city is Los Angeles. I think for the founders out in this audience thinking about Chicago as a city to consider expanding to, we have a lot of customers. 37 of the Fortune 500 companies are in Chicago, and within a couple-hour driving distance or a short airline flight, you can reach about another 150 Fortune 500 companies. So if you're building a company that's focused on businesses, selling to businesses, Chicago is a great place. We have great universities here, great research universities. And then we have a network of innovation hubs, 1871. We've got a group called M-Hub, which is focused on physical products, building physical products and industrial Internet of Things. And we have Matter, which is focused on healthcare and life sciences. And from an investment perspective, we've had the highest investor returns for the third year in a row. Kyle, can you switch the 1871 is Chicago's central tech address. As Andy said, we were named the #1 private incubator in the world last year. Switch it, Kyle, please. And our mission, our reason for being is we exist to inspire, equip, and support founders, growth stage companies, so companies that have raised a Series A or a Series B of funding and beyond, as well as corporate innovators building extraordinary businesses. And my job and my team's job every day is to work with our members to increase their probability of success and shorten the time frame for them to reach it. Kyle? We measure impact in 5 ways. The first is our reach and relevance. There's about 3,200 startups in Chicago, and about 1,100 have been at 1871 or are alumni of 1871. We also work with 300 of the bigger companies who are really driving the tech engine in Chicago forward. Our success rate for founders is 52%. And some of you might think that number is low, but over an 8-year period of all the companies that have come through 1871, of which there have been about 1,600 or so right now, 52% of them are still operating and growing, and 37 have been acquired. Those companies have created 11,000 jobs, which we think with an average salary in US dollars of about $70,000, I think the average annual salary impact is roughly $800 million into the Chicagoland area. And they've raised just shy of $1.7 billion. The last thing I'll say before one closing comment about the opportunity to spend more time working together is we're very focused on diversity, on women, on supporting female founders, on those that are Latinx, so Hispanic American founders, and African American founders. And we have programs in place for women and Hispanic American founders right now, and we're launching an accelerator for Black founders in February. Now that the world is totally virtual, we are working with founders all over the country and have the opportunity to strengthen our connections to the Osaka Innovation Hub even more than we've had today. So to the extent that people are interested, and Kyle, you can go to the next page. If any of you founders out in the audience are interested in understanding how to better connect to me or my team, my information is here. And to the leaders of the Osaka Innovation Hub, it's nice to be reconnected after my visit in the fall of 2018. And I would love the opportunity to talk about how to deepen our relationship moving forward. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you, Betsy. We appreciate your kind words, your overview of Chicago's innovation advantages, your offer to connect with any of the global participants that are joining us tonight to learn more. If you want to keep your camera on as we transition, it is now my pleasure to share a little bit more about Chicago's innovation ecosystem. And I would like to welcome Mr. John Higginson, Chief Technology Officer for Groupon, and Mr. Ryota Saikan, co-founder of QB, to join us for a conversation about the advantages of Chicago. Ryota, are you able to turn your camera on? Perfect. John, I will start with you. Can you share a little bit more about Groupon and the story of Groupon for our audience?
Sure. Thank you, Kyle, and good evening, Ohio, Osaka. It's good to be here today and talk about Chicago and give you a little bit of insight into Groupon. So Groupon was founded in Chicago in 2008 as a daily deal site. So you can think about Groupon as the place to go to experience something new, something you haven't tried before, and to get a deal in order to do it. And since 2008, we've grown into a multi-billion-dollar company. We have sold more than 1.5 billion Groupons globally. And through that, because all of our deals are done with local small merchants, we have generated more than 20 billion US dollars, or about 2 trillion yen, in sales for those local small businesses. And we are still a proud Chicago company today. We have more than 4,000 employees. Many of them are in Chicago, including technology, product, data science, marketing, merchandising, legal, and sales.
Thank you, John. There's a couple follow-ups that I want to build on from your overview, but Ryota, can you share about QB and your personal journey? As I feel like your recent success, your recent announcement, and your experience is very resonating for the conversation this evening.
Sure. Well, thank you for the invitation. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. A little bit about myself. My name is Ryota Sakine. I'm from Japan. And I came to Chicago 11 years ago for college. And I'm one of the co-founders of QB. QB is a fitness company for fitness beginners. And the company is best known for the QB seated elliptical machine. And the story of QB is a Chicago American dream. I met my two co-founders, Shivani Jain and Arnav Dalmia, at the University of Chicago. And when we were interns for a multinational corporation, we realized that we were spending a lot of time sitting. So we decided to invent a fitness machine for the cubicle. And after a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2014 and 2 years of really, really hard work, getting the supply chain set up and running, we started shipping to our first customers in 2016. And fast forward 4 years, today, QB has close to 50 employees. And we are impacting the lives of thousands of people across the United States. And during the COVID lockdown, we've helped many people stay active at their homes when all the gyms and parks were closed down. And recently in October 2020, QB was acquired by a private equity firm. And I'm really, really thankful for the Chicago innovation community for helping us get this far. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryota. That's a great overview. I'm curious, one of the things that Osaka mentioned during their discussion was about the relationship that Chicago and the innovation companies like QB or Groupon have with area universities. Your story is one that you started inside the University of Chicago with some friends. Can you talk about kind of what it was like to be inside a Chicago university, how that helped influence your growth, as well as what relationships you have to the other parts of the ecosystem as QB was growing and becoming this very attractive modern company?
Sure. So really my startup journey was really accidental. I did not really intend to become an entrepreneur or co-found a company. I came to the United States to become, well, a medical researcher. I was a pre-med and an immunobiology research student for the longest time. But in the third year of college, I took part in this competition called the New Venture Challenge at the University of Chicago. And that's where my co-founders, Arnav Dalmia, Shivani Jain, we decided to come together and start this company. And we also took part in a accelerator program at the university called the Polsky Center Program, which incubates early stage startups founded by students. And through this program, we met many of our angel investors and advisors who helped us really propel the company forward from a 3-person team to a company now with close to 50 people. And in fact, the University of Chicago was not the only university that helped us get where we're at. About 8 years ago, when we were just starting out, the University of Chicago did not have a manufacturing facility. So we worked with students and instructors at the Illinois Institute of Technology, which is a neighboring college, to get our very first prototype made. So I can really say from firsthand experience that universities have been an integral part to the founding of QB and also to many other startups.
If I could click the unmute button, that would make my life so much easier. I love their story. And the one part that I really think speaks to why Chicago, kind of why, to Betsy's stats, why Chicago's had such growth, are all those different partnerships you were able to make. John, I'm going to give Betsy just a little bit longer of a break to freshen up after she did the work for me. Groupon has grown into this global company doing deals around the world. Ryota mentioned the universities, the venture capital access that he was able to acquire, and some of the different pathways. How has Groupon been able to leverage Chicago as a home to go from a startup to do daily deals to now one that is global and continuing to grow?
Yeah, Chicago has been, we have a similar connection to universities because as Groupon has grown, I mean, we were a handful of people in a conference room in 2008, and grown to more than 4,000 people. And a lot of those folks came out of local universities. They came out of Northwestern, University of Chicago, and University of Illinois, and they built the platform. And when Groupon began, there wasn't anyone doing anything like it. And this was in the days before things like Shopify or even AWS. So a lot of the technology that we run today and we had to build back then was created at Groupon. And it was created by really talented people who had come out of local universities in Chicago. And I think beyond that, our connection to the Chicago business community has gotten us partnerships with a whole range of companies, including outside of the technology space. One of the key things that we do is when people purchase things on our site, they might be health, beauty, and wellness items, things like hair or nail care, or they might be experiences like going to an escape room. People want to reserve that experience. They want to buy it, but they also want to pick a day to go. And a lot of the reservation systems that we integrate with, because we integrate with almost 20 today across the globe, came out of connections that we had made through the Chicago business community. We got introduced to those companies, worked with them to build the technical bridges to their systems and put it onto our platform. So I think Groupon's story would not have been possible but for the technology and business ecosystem in Chicago.
John, one of the items you mentioned, and this has been a point, this was a question that the team in Osaka and World Business Chicago were developing this, were about the young people coming out of the universities and how to engage them and what that looks like. Betsy, if you have recuperated after your awesome addition, so often I think we think of innovation as being this very young person centric, but as you've mentioned, Chicago leads women-owned, women-started businesses. You guys have a focus coming online next year for people of color in tech. Chicago has been fortunate, as Deputy Mayor Mayakar mentioned, to lead North America in foreign investment for 7 years in a row. What part of Chicago makes it this inviting, inclusive economy that allows whatever walk of life, whatever background, to be able to succeed here? And also, can you speak to kind of some of the specifics that 1871 offers to those companies that maybe are sitting in a Denmark or in a Bogota, Colombia, or in Osaka tonight that they could think of when they reach out to you tomorrow morning?
Sure. So I think that there's a lot there, Kyle, so I'll try to be really clear. First of all, if you look at the most successful companies, founded tech companies, the average age of the founder is 45. And so I know the storyline is really pointed towards younger people, but the research has come out relatively recently so you check that out. There's been a lot of articles written about that over the last 6 months. It's not the persona that people think about, but that's true. I think with respect to folks that we typically consider underestimated, so female founders and founders of color, I think Chicago has done a better job than many other cities. I don't know other cities extremely well, but I can talk about the fact that Chicago, I think a lot of it has to do with the universities that are in our backyard and the fact that there is a diverse population of those universities, and those universities are teaching entrepreneurship and giving people access to some of those tools and understanding while they're in school. I think the nature of the neighborhoods of Chicago give rise to a different kind of partnership orientation here than perhaps in other cities around the country. And I also think there is a value set. This is not fact-based, but a value set in Chicago that is, all boats can rise, right? That this is an opportunity for all of us to get better, and that there's room for all of us to succeed. And we have a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong. We've got a lot of work to do at 1871. We've got a lot of work to do in the city to get better at this, but it's there. For founders that might be joining us, that might be interested in connecting to 1871, we have a structured curriculum that people can engage with virtually. We also now have a digital on-demand platform that they can engage on, learn from. We have about 350 mentors that they can speak to we help companies with business development. We help companies with telling their story. You know, we have, I don't know, 150 perks you get. The list goes on, and my team is happy to spend time with you talking through what might be most helpful to you.
Big credit to you for answering all of the 7 questions that I loaded into one. Thank you for that, Betsy. That was really insightful. John, to throw back to you, how would you explain Chicago's innovation ecosystem to someone who hadn't actually been able to come to Chicago or is sitting on this virtual platform and trying to get a sense of what it's really like? What's that description you would share?
It's to start with something that Betsy said, it is very much a community. They're having spent some time in some other cities where the competition is very palpable, where companies and people who work for companies tend not to interact, tend not to share ideas. It's the exact opposite in Chicago. It's a place where people come together and say, I'm building my company and I have run into this challenge. How can I solve it? And you will see other founders, other CEOs, CTOs in the company get together and help each other out. That doesn't mean that some of those companies don't compete, because they do, but it's community first. And I think that's something that is very uniquely Chicago. Secondly, I think that there is a work ethic in Chicago. There is, we sometimes joke in Chicago and in the Midwest that we are not we don't show off. We don't boast about things. And I think that's very true. It's very much a getting things done culture that we have in the Chicago community. And I think that really helps companies. And as Chicago has grown, you have Groupon as a startup that got larger, but there are thousands of stories of companies that are all across that spectrum of growth. And credit to 1871 as well, because if you've never been, whether you are a startup or an established company, I encourage you to go. The energy in 1871 is amazing. There are lots of companies whose stories begin with, we went to 1871, we worked on our prototype, we met this other person. And even for established companies, when I was the CTO at another company in Chicago a few years ago, I took my team to 1871 because we needed to get out of our standard mode of thinking and embrace and feel some of that innovation energy. And so I think that community, the companies that have established themselves in Chicago, big and small, that are keeping and drawing more talent into Chicago, the work ethic, I think all those things make Chicago special.
That was really insightful, and thank you, John, for that detail. To be respectful of time, as I know it's all precious, Ryota, I will throw this last question for you. How, with the community aspect, have you found that to be true in your innovation journey, and kind of anything to elaborate from what John has shared?
I echo, both what John and Betsy had talked about. In fact, QB was part of 1871 for, I'd say, close to 2 years. When we were just out of college back in 2014, we took part in the 1871. I forgot the name of the program. It was the college startup program, where new college graduates join, and then as first-time entrepreneurs, we get a lot of coaching, meeting people who've built businesses before us, and that was extremely helpful. And I really feel that the Chicago innovation community, people love to help each other, and it's true, because my company started by 3 foreigners who did not have any connections whatsoever when we first came here, no savings at all. But with the help of everyone in Chicago, we managed to build a company that is truly making a difference in the world. So that alone, like my personal experience, I feel is a testament to how the Chicago community loves helping each other.
Thank you, Ryota. Betsy, as the final word here for this session, every time I talk to a company that's innovating, they're usually connected to 1871 and the connective power that happens with inside there. Is there any, how have you fostered that? Just what is that secret sauce that just makes it so special and would allow someone who maybe doesn't have roots in Chicago or a network in Chicago to come in here and be able to take advantage of the connective power that John and Ryota have both mentioned?
Yeah, I might be a little redundant with what they've shared, but what I tell every Monday, I greet the new members of 1871, whether physically in person when it's safe to do so, and virtually. And what I tell them is the magic of 1871 really is the density and the diversity of the network and the mesh of that network and being part of it. And your obligation when you join that network is to give as much as you take from it, and that the power of it continues to grow and expand, and the impact amplifying because people like John and like Ryota find so much value in it that they give back, or they bring more people to it, and just keeps multiplying. And so my hope for anyone that would want to join us from across the globe, that you would find that same value in the connections that you'd find in the serendipity of the people that you'll meet as part of it.
Thank you, Betsy. That was, your fear of redundant was great. It was a nice last word to share there. I would like to thank each of you, Betsy, for your remarks today and being part of this panel, John, for your wonderful insight and passion and just great anecdotal stories, and Ryota for having just a very personal journey to help our audience go through. So thank each of you for being part of this Innovation Summit today. We very much appreciate your time, your perspective, and your honesty. And now, out of respect to our time and trying to keep us to a close for 10:30 Japanese Standard Time, I will transition to a kind of abbreviated question and answer session with my good friend, Motohiro Hayami-san, the Council for Economic Affairs with the Japanese Consulate here in Chicago, to facilitate a brief Q&A. Hayami-san, my friend, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Kyle, for your kind introduction. And thank you all the people from City of Osaka and City of Chicago for a wonderful presentation and conversation. So I'd like to ask 2 or 3 questions to provide a more in-depth understanding for both cities and what it will look like in the near future. So the first question will be for both cities. So do you think the respective Osaka and Chicago approaches to encouraging innovation will be affected by the new administrations of Prime Minister Suga and President-elect Biden? And if so, how will it be affected? So probably the Director General Kashiwagi will answer from the Osaka side.
Okay, so thank you very much indeed giving me good questions. And as you understand, a little bit sensitive question, but the world has entered a time when progress in innovation would not be disrupted from introducing a new administration. So, and even with the new, even with the new administration, the country stands, and the stance of Osaka City will not be changed. And if maybe or more accelerated in high speed. So I have one example of the national government support to advancing innovations. In July this year, Osaka, under a united consortium with Kyoto City and Kobe City, was chosen by the national government as what we call global startup city in Japan. With this as a starting point, the Kyoto, Osaka, Kobe unison can now further synergize and leverage Kansai region's strengths in fields such as life science, and eventually achieve a startup ecosystem that can compete with leading ecosystem of the world. So don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you for the great answer. So let's talk about the Chicago. Tom, please.
Yes, thank you. Regarding the Biden administration coming into office and the city of Chicago, our city actually has a very good innovation model that has been in place for several years, which really is a model that looks to independent hubs like 1871 that in large extent are self-funded and not reliant on, say, the federal government for funds. In terms of the administration and funding, we think that will only be a positive, and we will not be dependent on federal funding, for example, for innovation. But on the other hand, the Biden administration should be very, very good for Chicago in terms of innovation for several reasons. Among them, and foremost, is there will be a focus on science, on education and innovation that did not exist in the previous administration, so that will be positive. Also, there will be a change in tone, there already is, from the Biden group for the innovation sector and as it relates to foreign interaction and immigration. So we will see a much more welcoming environment in terms of the tone and the messaging that comes out of this administration for students and others that wish to come to the US, come to Chicago and study or start businesses. So that will be a very, very positive thing for Chicago. And also I believe, and we believe that the new administration will be working much more smoothly with Chicago than the previous one. And this is, of course, we had a great relationship with the previous Obama administration, and we think that it will be very good for us moving forward. So we are looking forward to the new administration, no question.
So thank you for both answers for the continuity in the future. And next question will be, I think this question might already addressed during the fireside chat in Chicago side, but what are the advantages of Chicago compared to West Coast and the East Coast United States?
Yes. So on the advantages, we have, and as you mentioned, some of this was addressed, but I'll mention it. We have the best access to the North American market of any city in the US, easily. We have the best connected airport in the US. It's the third best connected on the globe. As a matter of fact, we also are the transport hub of the continent. In addition to that, we have a diverse economy that's not reliant on any one sector. So unlike Silicon Valley or Detroit, we are not dependent on one economic sector. We have a very broad-based economy. We also happen to have a much lower cost of doing business, very much lower than either coast. And this is another parallel we have with Osaka. Our costs are less than some of the other business centers in our country, very much less. We also happen to have a low cost of living. So for employees, for people coming here to work, it's very, very affordable. We have some of the highest affordability indexes in the nation. But we combine that with a global city that's the third largest economy in the nation. And we also have a business-friendly city government, which is friendly towards business and innovation, as you've seen. We also have a very diverse economy and a very diverse populace here that's very inclusive. Our city government has a very large focus on inclusivity. And as we've noted today on women entrepreneurs, that has been a great success, but we know that there's much more to do. But we do have a lot of advantages, and talent, cost, location are foremost among those. And we appreciate the opportunity to share those with you. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And I'd like to emphasize that the Japan Airline and All Nippon Airways soon recovered their number of flights to Chicago or O'Hare Airport. So
excellent.
that means the importance of the O'Hare Airport.
Great to hear.
And this is a similar question to Japanese Osaka side. So what are the advantages of Osaka compared to Tokyo and the Fukuoka area?
Okay, thank you very much. Regarding the advantages of Osaka in comparison with other cities, I would say that first is that Osaka has a comprehensive ecosystem actors within a compacted area. In regards to compactness, Osaka connects its neighboring cities, Kyoto, Kobe, within 30 minutes. In fact, the distance between Kyoto and Kobe is almost the same as the one between San Francisco and San Jose, about 70 kilometers. Osaka is located between them. We get to know key persons very easily, and this efficiency will be increased by contacting with OIH. And speaking of size of economy, size of Kansai is about approximately 800 billion US dollar, which is almost same as to the one of the Netherlands. So, and Osaka Prefecture is also represent 50% of GRP in the Kansai region. And finally, as Mr. Okada said that we have lots of full of challenging spirits, like a get to it spirit. In terms of the spirits, and I will give you an example. One is we had the first English conference for entrepreneurs. All conference has been held in English. That was a first challenge we have made in Japan. That is Hack Osaka. I'm talking about Hack Osaka. Another challenges that we had at the first challenge is the establishing the Japan Startup Supporting Association. It is an organization for successful entrepreneurs to form a group of mentors to new entrepreneurs. Mentor or angel investor is a very privately, or it's not clear in the ecosystem, but we asked one of successful entrepreneurs to form a group of organization, which is also the first things that we have in Japan. So anyway, and also as I mentioned in the presentation, another thing is that declaration of the startup friendly Kansai, which is the first clear commitment in Japan made by corporate executives. So I think with those facts, I'm very proud that Osaka is challengers and will be also challengers as well for the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yoshikawa, for your very powerful commitment and remarks. So I'd like to respect my friend Kyle's respectfulness or the time concern. So Kyle, now the floor is yours.
Ayami-san, thank you very much for your leadership, friendship, and effective and efficient use of the time for the Q&A. As we look to close this virtual summit down, it is my honor to welcome Mr. Takayuki Toriyama, Director of International Business and Promotion from the Economic Strategy Bureau for the Osaka City Government. Between 2006 to 2010, Mr. Toriyama, representing the city of Osaka in Chicago, working closely with the city of Chicago, Chicago Sister Cities International, the Japanese Consulate General, Jetro Chicago, to strengthen the sister city relations between Osaka and Chicago. Now, he is responsible for Osaka's international affairs in general. So please join me in welcoming Director Toriyama to provide the closing thoughts from the Osaka side of the summit. Director Toriyama.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Schultz-san. Did you enjoy the Chicago and Osaka's first joint online seminar? The COVID-19 pandemic is an ongoing challenge, but behind every obstacle lies opportunity to improve. Going forward, we're going to hold these kinds of seminars on other themes as well in the future. To organize the best seminars possible, please give us your kind feedback to the questionnaire that we will send you after the event. Lastly, I would like to express my hopes that this seminar will function as an opportunity to stimulate further economic activities between Chicago and Osaka. We are happy to help your business. Please do not hesitate to contact us. To conclude, allow me to once again thank our friends from Chicago for helping organize this event. Our panelists who enriched this event with insight from both cities. And of course, our guests from around the world who joined in to make this event possible today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Toriyama, for your continued support and partnership to promote Chicago and Osaka. And now, to officially conclude the Osaka-Chicago Innovation Summit, it is my pleasure to welcome back Ms. Andy Zapp to provide the closing remarks and reflections from the summit. Andy?
Thanks, Kyle. Thank you, Toriyama-san. And thank you for all of our speakers and remarks, our opening remarks and presentations. I am once again reminded of the close relationship and partnership that we have between Osaka and Chicago and how powerful it is. So many similarities between our cities, both in terms of our growth and our opportunity, but also in terms of not only our commitment to innovation and supporting businesses, innovators, and entrepreneurs, but also in working together to make that happen. You heard time and time again how the city government and incubators were working with businesses to help them grow and expand, and how those partnerships and networking were happening to drive innovation. And I also hope that our friends saw some of the strengths, both of Osaka as a place for investment, but also for Chicago as a place to come grow your businesses and thrive. And so, and really what we hope is to continue this partnership, to show where we can work together. It is my only sadness is that we couldn't be together in person. I look forward to the day where I can return to Osaka, where I've had many fun and great meals and walks. There was a picture early on in one of the presentations of that incredible crab. Been there. I have a great picture of myself standing under it. And so I look forward to the time to be able to do that, to see many of you that are in Osaka in person, but really glad that we have the opportunity through technology to do this event virtually, to share with each other and to recognize that we have so much that we can do together to help grow both of our cities, create opportunities for our entrepreneurs, make lives better for our residents. And so it's really been a pleasure and a privilege to join you. And with that, and so thank you all for being here. Thank you again to all of our speakers and commentators, and to our partners and co-hosts for making this event possible. With Kyle, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate your kind words in helping bring this incredible, first of its kind innovation summit between Osaka and Chicago to a close. I appreciate everyone who joined from all different parts of the world to hear how Osaka and Chicago are shaping innovation and are receptive to innovation companies. I appreciate the speakers for sharing their knowledge, their insights, and their experiences, the partners that helped make this possible, and a special thank you to Misa Kido-san for all her hours in making sure this was a successful event. And with that, I wish everyone in the Western Hemisphere a wonderful evening, and those in Asia, Japan, and Osaka, a wonderful Wednesday. This now concludes the Osaka-Chicago Innovation Summit. Arigatou gozaimasu.